When the sun comes up in the morning sky, there I will be.
I think it's a good organization because it helps a lot of families. It helps a lot of families look for their lost loved ones, maybe who have been missing for many years, or if they just recently went missing, and it helps them in any way they need. Instead of them being alone, they have like a support system.
It's a great way to raise awareness around the issue that puts First Nations at a disadvantage. It puts it at the forefront, and it essentially brings awareness, and that's it.
I think it's a really good organization. I feel like they've had a lot of successes, and I feel that without the organization, a lot of Indigenous women wouldn't have gotten justice that they have gotten.
It's a very good organization that was set up because it brings a lot of advocacy to the whole idea of the missing, murdered, and Indigenous woman. And although I may not personally be affected by it, I feel like it still does help a lot of the Native communities.
This is really like an epidemic because many women go missing over the years, and it just piles up, and we don't get the media attention that we need. So like we don't get in big news outlets or even just like local news outlets about what's going on. It's hardly ever anything unless you create a platform big enough to share your story or have someone share it for you that has a bigger platform. Then it can really get out there and you can really start advocating for these missing women.
Okay. And I think it has multiple meanings. But more importantly, or most significantly, it symbolizes the growing movement, the MMIW movement, and essentially means how the missing Indigenous women don't have their voices heard enough. And I think it stands for the oppression and subjugation of Native women who are now rising, and their stance. It's just as a whole a combination of everything, and it's just a symbol of a growing movement. Yes.
I think it symbolizes not being able to communicate your experiences in a way, so you may feel like you don't want to talk about certain things, or it may feel like Indigenous women are silenced because they don't get enough, there's not enough talk about the things that they go through, from missing to being murdered to being like to their experiences. They don't really get to talk, it's not really talked about enough. That's what I think it means.
The hand over the mouth symbolizes that it's like silencing a woman, and it's a really hard topic to talk about. And the significance of the red plays a factor in like it represents emotions and stuff like that, like how red is associated with anger.
Like someone being silenced, like when someone goes missing or murdered, they have no way of telling us where they are or their whereabouts, and so it just creates their silence, so we can't look for them. We don't know where they are. We don't have an idea of where they are, so in a way it's like them being silenced.
Well, there are multiple ways to increase awareness around the MMIW movement, and I think it starts with the media, and I think the media definitely needs to recognize and acknowledge that there's a problem with the system, and that Native orgs or Indigenous movements like this is not a problem only for us, and recognize that it's a nationwide problem and that Native should not be the only one bringing awareness around this. And I guess the only way is to have it known, and I think we're doing a terrific job, but to know that media also should play an important role, and the increasing political attention is only made because of the Native voices, and it shouldn't take only Native voices to increase this attention.
Sharing information about different organizations that help families of missing and murdered Indigenous women, or donating, giving time to help search for somebody, or just using your own platform in any way that you can to spread awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous women.
I think with any organizations, there comes a barrier with the funding that they receive. So I think making donations to that would be a very helpful way. I think no matter what, any kind of donations help. I think that way. And then there's also a lot of different ways to advocate for it. So you could speak about a lot of your own things. You could encourage other people to speak about it more. And like everybody, they always post it on social media, and that's another way to help advocate for it, I believe.
There's several MMIW groups that I have worked with in the past, personally, which is writing for MMIW. And then there's also MMIW USA, and pages like that on social media that share information about missing people, whether it's women or men, and they help spread a lot of awareness. And then also just helping people search, I think. And yeah.
With the trauma that they just went through, it's gonna be hard to get over it. And in time, you might never really get over it because they're always gonna have some important part of your life. And that it's okay to be sad about it. And that you have to continue to advocate and tell their stories so that one day it's not gonna really be a problem for other young Indigenous women.
My condolences go out to them, and I can't imagine what they're going through, especially with a missing family member. And I would say that I hope that they could get the justice that they deserve for their families, and I hope that in the end that they do get closure.
I'm sorry for a system that oppresses you, and know that there is change coming, and there are people advocating, and orgs like the MMIW are doing a great job to raise awareness around such issues. And you are heard now, and that's your resiliency is something that you should be proud of because of a system because you're victims of a system that puts us at a disadvantage, and know that there is change coming.
To keep looking, to keep hope that that they'll find their loved one, because even if it may be a long time, and it'll be easier to get closure if you find them alive or deceased. And yeah.
I just think that it is really unfortunate what Indigenous people have to go through, especially in marginalized communities. And I think it's important that we all work together, near and far, in order to get families and find our missing, murdered, and Indigenous women. And I feel that it's really scary. And personally, I do not feel safe going anywhere alone, especially like at night and stuff like that. It's just really unfortunate that it's getting closer to home, and that indigenous women are like one of the most targeted peoples when it comes to human sex trafficking, which is really scary.
Well, just recently, if you've heard of Jamie Yazzie, I just learned recently that by clan she was my aunt. So when I learned that, it kind of like affected me more, because I've been helping them advocate for her. And just recently in February, her body was found, and through the MMIW organization, I've met a lot of women um, who have like supported the family, and so
When the sun comes up in the morning sky, there I will be, there I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the